You wanna know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. But come on, take a chance now. So go, geocache, geocache. And if you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. Uncover the stash on the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome to episode 308 of the Geocaching Podcast, recorded live on July 17th, 2013. I'm your host, XPunkX, with
Daryl W4 and
Ed Hard Hat.
You can join our live chat room and video stream and watch us as we record this episode and participate with other listeners. That can be found at geocachingpodcast.com/live. We have a voicemail line, and that number is 630-31-VOICE. You can also get online live with us tonight at that same number, 630-31-VOICE. You can find us on Twitter at geocachingpodcast.com/Twitter and Facebook at geocachingpodcast.com/Facebook. This episode is brought to you by Cache Advance. See cache-advance.com for all of your geocaching needs. Welcome back, guys. This is kind of a rushed episode for me. I literally got into the studio as we hit record. It was an interesting beginning to this show, but so far, all is going well. Knock on wood, it is my desk here, and hopefully it continues to go well. So thanks, guys, and welcome back.
Well, I have to admit, I do enjoy the auto-corrected messages, and I did as best I could to get the thugs going for you.
Well,
and it begs the question, how does your garden grow?
My garden grows well, and that's actually why I was late. I was watering our garden at a different location, not at our house, and so by the time I got back here, I was a little bit late. So thanks again for starting the show without me. We're getting it ready to go.
Oh, hey, it's what we do. I point to Daryl.
So, Head Hard Hat, how have you been since the last time we had?
I'll tell you what, last week it was really interesting. The technical difficulties, a.k.a. the gremlins, were in full bloom last week. So when I went to get onto the podcast, things were not working right. I was getting all these weird, funky network connectivity issues, and yet I was blowing, 30 down, 5 up on the old speed test, and Google was just not playing nice. Right around 11 o'clock, everything cleared up all by itself, and everything worked fine. But for those couple of hours, apparently some gremlin somewhere was having fun and couldn't get on. As far as this week goes, I had a lot of fun. Of course, went out geocaching Saturday for the big day. And actually, it was kind of interesting. You know how that just one major geocache makes it for the whole day?
Right.
It was pouring. Literally deluge all day.
Man.
I'm out with my daughter and my fiance Amy, and we got to get this. We got to get the souvenir, and we sit there. We get to this one spot. The geocache is about 300 yards away. The rain's coming down in buckets. I'm literally at the point of just saying, let's just do this. I had my regular GPS, so I didn't have to take my smartphone, and it stopped. And I'm like, yes, all right, let's go. Everybody took off. We get halfway there. Dush. So yeah, it was a very soggy geocaching adventure, but we got the smiley, we got the souvenir, and just laughed. And by the time we got back to the car, I said we got to take some pictures. We were so soaked it didn't matter. So it was a fun time.
Awesome. Well, the last time that they did an update on Groundspeak, I've been trying and having nothing but trouble with the API, and so I'm really hoping that they fix that soon, because it's kind of annoying when things don't work when you expect them to. But other than that, I'm just been busy. Summer is busy time for us here. But Daryl, how about yourself?
Well, I did also get out for the Get Outdoors with Geocaching Day which was that Saturday, and I was actually on my way to go caching somewhere. In the park, nice walk kind of thing, and I got the notification that some caches published, and one of them was only about a mile and a half out of my way from where I was right at that moment. So, okay, I'm going to go do that. It's an LPC, so, how exciting can that be? But,
But
it's a first to find, yeah.
Right.
Walk in the woods or a first to find LPC. I'll take the first to find LPC right now, thank you. Especially because I was planning on heading out, and then I checked the phone, and it's like, well, there's another 4 kind of back over by the house, and a nice little trail kind of leading right back there. Yeah, I'm going to try for it. So I got another 3, so a total of 4 FTS. Didn't get the next 2, did get one that I had DNF before multi-cache, and I have no idea how I missed it. It's one of those, I was overthinking it kind of deals. But I did get back into playing with the Munsies a little bit following the latest release, and got some of the people around here out for the weekend only. It seems no one is out capturing Munsies right now. Everyone was out this weekend, and then all of a sudden, no one's out anymore. So I don't know what's going on there.
Bummer. Well, I didn't get out to get to my Saturday cache for the Geocaching Get Outdoors Day. I was outside. I was working in my garden, but I did not get the Geocaching Get Outdoors Day souvenir.
You see, that garden seems to be taking you away from your geocaching obligations.
It is. We have a pretty big garden this year, so unfortunately, it is kind of getting in the way right now. But I really enjoy doing it. So.
Well, the important question is: have you hidden a cache there?
At the garden? No.
Oh, you got to find a gnome cache and hide a gnome there.
That'd be fun.
Groundspeak released numbers on Tuesday for the Geocaching Get Outdoors Day. The blog post announced logs from almost 88,000 cachers. We'll link to that post in our show notes.
Well, tonight we're talking with Craig, who is the Executive Director of the West Bend Chamber of Commerce. And we have you on the show tonight, Craig, because you guys do something pretty unique there in West Bend. And this is the West Bend Cache Bash, and this is not the first time that it's happened. And in fact, we've actually talked to you last year about it, but we think it's a pretty interesting event, and also it's a mega event. So we wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit about the event. So welcome to the show.
Andy, thank you. It's always a pleasure being on with you guys. And what we do is a little bit unique, and this is the 6th annual West Bend $1,000 Cache Bash.
We'll take 10s and 20s, by the way.
Well, you got to come, though. See, that's the trick. I keep trying to persuade you guys that once you come to this event, you'll be steady every year.
That's awesome.
No, I know that I'm not going to be able to make it this year. I know Daryl had talked about it. Daryl, you're going to make it this year.
Yeah, it actually looks like I will be doing the drop-by for it, so just a quick in and out kind of thing.
Well, that would be terrific. Make sure that you stop by and say hi to me.
Oh, I definitely will.
We are looking at so far with a little less than a month to go at this point. We're up at around 600 teams that have registered, and we're still going strong. We're actually this year we're about 16% ahead of signups from the previous year. So every year it gets a little bigger, and it's just a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So what are some of the major things, Greg, that really attracts people to come to this event?
Well, for one thing, it's in the same place every year, and we are and claim to be the geocaching capital of the Midwest. With Little West Bend, which is a population of about 32,000 people, we have over 1,100 caches within a 10-mile radius of our community.
Awesome.
And that in itself, I mean, you can come and spend an awful lot of time caching in West Bend all year long because there are just so many caches, and they're out in the woods, and we have urban caches. We have something for just about everybody at every level. We started this back 6 years ago. And it was just an idea that I'd had because I'd become quite informed about geocaching, and I said, we ought to just try and do something to bring people into our community. And it has really grown to be popular, not only for folks within Wisconsin, but we get a number of cachers from a lot of states. I think we're up to about 30 states right now. And we have, I think, some folks coming from Germany, from Holland, Sweden, Russia, Lithuania, and Canada. So
Wow.
it's getting the word out really not only in the U.S. but across the world.
Very
So
cool. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the things we do that's unique is that every year we hide 66 caches, brand new caches. They get released for our event, and these are permanent caches. And everybody that registers gets a booklet with a game card. And as they find the cache, they will find a little rubber stamp in that cache. They stamp their game card. And for every 10 caches that they find during our event, they get a raffle ticket, and the raffle tickets are for all sorts of different prizes, from Magellan units to ammo boxes. Pretty much it runs the gamut, and it really gets people excited because there is certainly competition in geocaching, and this really kind of just maybe gets everybody heart beating a little bit faster. Everyone that attends the event, though, every single person gets a raffle ticket for the money, and we give away $1,000 every year in cash that will be given out just through the raffle. So it is an opportunity for folks not only to come and have a great time, but maybe pay for their trip to West Bend.
Very cool. Now, does one person win the $1,000, or is it split up between a first, second, and third winner?
We split up. We have a $500 first prize, $250 second. There are two $100 thirds and a $50 fourth. So we spread the money around. First year we had one of the people that won. I was calling out the raffle numbers, and a lady piped up out of the crowd and said, I'm glad I didn't win that one because I wanted to win a bigger one. Well, she ended up winning $250, and she'd come from Florida. So ever since then, we have a good contingent coming from Florida.
That's great. Now, you boast on the website that it's such a great place for socializing with geocachers, which all big, any geocaching event is really fantastic for that. But you boast over 660 teams attended. Yeah. Why teams?
Well, we count every group, and that could be, if you're just coming by yourself, you're a team by yourself. But we have families, we have a couple of couples that come together and they want to cache together, and so they consider themselves to be a team. Right now we're somewhere over 1,100 people that have already signed up. And by the time the event comes to around on August 9th, we're going to be probably up at about 1,600 to 1,700 people. But there are a lot of folks that like caching together, and they like to consider themselves a team, and that's fine with us.
Very cool. Now, we mentioned that you are from the Chamber of Commerce, and I take it that you're a geocacher, but is it the Chamber of Commerce that sponsors this event, or is it a geocaching group, or how does that work?
Well, it actually is in the Chamber, and as the head of the Chamber, I'm also responsible for the city's tourism marketing. And that was one of the things I came up with in order to bring people into West Bend, so that we would have a little bit of a market niche. There are a lot of lovely communities in Wisconsin that have old courthouses and museums and jogging trails and all sorts of things like that. But no one really had even considered geocaching. And back when I started this in 2008, I think the mega events around the world at that point, I think we're about 12. And so we became the 13th mega. And now when I look at Groundspeak's list, I see that up around 30 mega events. So it's continuing to grow, and I'm just glad that we were able to jump on when we did. The entire city of West Bend gets involved. I mean, geocachers, as they wander through town, will see signs in the window welcoming them. The police station has a welcome geocachers sign on it. You have all of the restaurants that have electronic boards will be flashing welcome geocachers. we really do appreciate the folks that come into our community, not only just on this event period, but also throughout the year. These are our folks that we're glad to have staying in our hotels, eating our restaurants, pumping our gas, and just helping to enjoy the sport.
But I don't think that's something that we can really gloss over, and we did talk about it last time you were on with us, is this is really something that the community has gotten involved with because they see the benefit from it.
Well, that's right. Last year, according to the state tourism formula that we use, it brought about $450,000 in revenue over just that one weekend, and that's not counting the folks that come in throughout the year.
Yeah,
that's great. That's an incentive all the way around.
It really does see a good return on their fairly limited investment for caching.
Well, that's exactly right. And and the thing about it is, when we look at all of the posts after the event, and people are saying, my God, there are a lot of communities that don't even like us, and they come into a community where everybody is just thrilled to see us and are glad to have us come and visit. It makes them feel good.
I always love it when the geocaching community comes together with the community itself, and everybody turns out has a good time, good things overall, and it's a great representation for other communities to do the exact same thing.
That's exactly it. And of course, we always give everybody gets a free backpack when they come to the event, and this is just an expense that the chamber and the city pick up. So in that backpack, they're going to get all sorts of coupons, discounts in restaurants, and all sorts of little tchotchkes that we stick in there. So they even if they don't win anything, they still walk away with more than what they had when they came, and I think that's part of the fun of it. And of course, I love seeing those backpacks showing up at Geo Woodstock and literally all over the country. I had something came up on YouTube where Costa Rica there was a backpack that showed up down there, and I saw that it was on one of the YouTube videos. So we certainly want to continue to grow. Ideally, to have folks come all throughout the year, and that's one of the good things about geocaching is it really is a 365-day a year event. I mean, it's not like when the snow starts to fall, people quit geocaching. They just put on more clothes.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned Costa Rica, which is another one of those communities that's really started to get behind geocaching and used it to drive tourism, including some cruises dedicated to caching.
Exactly. And I don't think a lot of the listeners perhaps realize how the sport is growing. Being a retired marketing exec, I, of course, like to look at numbers, and it helps us to measure where we are and to look at our growth. One of the things that you may find interesting, and I think I mentioned this to you when I was on last year, is we keep track of how many caches the teams have found. And I can give you some percentages of what you might find interesting. We break it out from 0 finds to 250. 21.4% of the teams that have already registered would fall into that category. From 251 to 500 caches is 15.5%. From 501 to 1,000 is 11%. Then from 1,000 to 5,000, it jumps to 37.6%. And over 5,000 caches, 14% of our attendees have found over 5,000 caches. And one of the things it tells me is that every year there is a new group coming in, and from that 0 to 250, which means that we're continuing to see the sport grow. And when I look then at the other end of the spectrum, the 1,000 and above, they continue to be coming to the event, which says to me that obviously we're putting on a pretty good event. It's not something that's just appealing to the beginners. This is appealing to people who really are seasoned geocachers and have been around since the very beginning.
Now let's kind of touch on what those first-time West Bend Cache Bash visitors should consider. What should they prep for when they get there?
Well, number one, if they're coming from your area or anywhere around the country where they need a hotel room, they better check with us, because a lot of the hotels within West Bend itself are now completely full. And we usually are able to point folks to campgrounds and to hotels in the area that they'd be able to find. But I would not encourage anyone to just show up without a hotel room, because they may be moving all the way to Milwaukee before they find a hotel.
Wow.
That would be number one. We start our event on Friday at noontime, and usually there's a fairly long line at noon. So when we open it up, folks will come up. They'll give us the name of their team. We'll check them in and give them their backpack with all of the information plus the program that's in it. And then they can go, if they want to have the downloads put into their GPSs right there. We have the Wisconsin Geocaching Association. Every year since we started this, they're there, and they're the folks that are putting all of the coordinates right into the GPS units, regardless of what type of unit they happen to have. So
Cool.
that really is a huge benefit. Otherwise, folks, of course, can just go online and load them right from their computer. So they've got some options there. And from that point on, folks are usually heading out and trying to find as many caches as they can. One of the things I found so fascinating about this sport is being a marketing guy. I look at demographics, and you see high school kids, you see college kids, young couples, couples with very small children that they're carrying in papoose bags, couples with teenagers, where the teenagers would never get caught dead with mom and dad except when they're geocaching, and then empty nesters and seniors. So it really applies pretty much across the board to just about every age group. I think the only thing that sets them apart is the fact that you've got folks that obviously like adventure, they like the outdoors, and they like to treasure hunt, and all of this kind of brings them out.
Now, you do have a couple of different events going on around this main event. Can we talk a little bit about those
Sure.
separate kind of events too?
We're going to have on Thursday, we will have, there's an event being put on, in fact, 3 events being put on by the Eco Rangers, who are one of the top geocaching teams. They're going to have an early meet and greet at a restaurant lounge called Muggles, and that really is its name and was its name.
That's awesome.
Long before they realized that geocaching was coming to West Bend. So they have that event on Thursday. On Friday evening, of course, we have a meet and greet right at Regner Park. And then on Saturday, after our event is over, there is another event that is going to be held by the Eco Rangers at Lighthouse Lanes, and that's an opportunity for folks to get an inexpensive meal and to just basically have a chance to kind of swap stories of what they found and the experiences they had over that weekend. And then Tammy Mullen, who is Earth Angel from the Eco Rangers, she's going to be doing a scavenger hunt on Sunday, which will just be following right after the Wisconsin Geocaching Association's pancake breakfast. So we've got not only what the main event is that the Chamber's running, but we have a number of folks that are pitching in and really filling out the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, because I was looking over what you have a smoking hot schedule all day Saturday. I mean,
Yes.
from free swim pass, classes. I would love to see the Leave No Trace booth. I mean,
Yeah.
there is just a ton of things to do all day. You will not be bored in any way, shape, or form with this.
Oh, not at all. And we also, of course, have a number of vendors that are going to be there. Magellan is a sponsor again this year. So there are a lot of booths for folks to visit while they're there. But, it's going to be just hopefully a weekend where people don't run out of things to do. They're not going to be bored. I know there are a lot of events where basically you just kind of go and camp out and sit and tell about the stories about your other caches that you found. This is an event that keeps you moving, and this basically is what I believe is what geocachers want. Is it's nice to tell the stories, but it's a lot more fun making the memories than just telling the stories.
Absolutely.
And we also this year have really some excitement. The OCB is coming to West Bend.
And for those of us I'm aware of what this is, but some of our listeners may not be. So can you explain what the OCB is?
The OCB is the original can of beans. It was part of the original cache that was hidden when geocaching was starting.
Wow.
And the owner who found the OCB and is from Arizona, he will be bringing it. It will be in a glass case, and of course we will recognize it. I know there are a lot of geocachers that want to have their picture taken with it, or may want to bow or say prayers in front of it. whatever floats their boat is okay with me.
All right, Head Hard Hat. Since you're our expert on this, what was that original stash called, and who hid it?
Well, the original stash was not geocaching, and you're putting me on the spot here.
Oh, come on! I thought you had this.
Dave Ulmer. And
Dave Ulmer in Beaver Creek.
It was called something stash.
The GPS stash.
GPS stash. That's right.
GPS stash.
Yes.
It wasn't until later that it was coined into being geocaching.
Right. Yes. And that's a whole story in itself.
But,
does anyone know how it came into Team 360's hands?
No. See, I have never heard that.
Ah. Okay.
Tell us the story.
The story is that the OCB was discovered as they were putting in that plaque that now sits there. Team 360 found it in the woods near the plaque near the original stash location.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it is,
and he did verify that was the original can, and although
Yes.
it had to be straightened out, it was kind of bent. But
it no longer looks like a can of beans. You certainly would not want to consume anything near that can.
Beans. Wow.
Yeah, it's seen better days.
Well, Chris,
Awesome.
we're ending the end of our show. We're nearing the end of our show here. But is there anything that we may have missed? Things that you just want to tell our listeners about the West Bend Cache Bash? I mean, it sounds like a very awesome event. I know that last year after we talked, I really wanted to come to this year, but it just didn't work out for me this year. But is there anything that you want to tell our listeners maybe that we have missed asking you?
Well, the event is always the second weekend in August. So this year it is August 9th, 10th. Next year it will be 8th, 9th. So, Andy, mark your calendar now.
I will try.
But, we'd love to have you come, and certainly if you wanted to do a podcast, we have the Silver Lining Stage right in the park that we would set you up, and we'll just let you do what you do.
Very cool.
But we'd love to have you, and certainly any of your listeners that are interested in coming, they can certainly go online to our mega event listing on geocaching.com. If they have any questions or need any help, they can call the West Bend Area Chamber. And I would be happy to chat with them. From time to time, I get calls. In fact, I just got a call from North Carolina from a fellow who's trying to set up an event there, and I've been able to sort of mentor a few other events. One in Pennsylvania that they were trying to set up out in the middle of the woods, and a couple others that folks are really interested in sort of jumping on. And this is a great sport, and whatever I can do to help share my knowledge and maybe help folks avoid a few pitfalls if they want to create an event, I'm more than happy to do that. That's just a way of giving back to the sport.
Very
That's
cool.
fantastic.
Well, we want to thank you for being on our show tonight, and any of our listeners who do make it out to the West Bend Cash Bash this year, feel free to give us a call. Our voicemail number is 630-31-VOICE. We'd love to hear your experience at the West Bend Cash Bash, and maybe you can get out there and win part of that $1,000 that Craig is talking about tonight. Well, guys, we want to thank you for subscribing to the Geocaching Podcast. We want to thank Cash-Advance.com for making this episode financially possible. Join us each Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on geocachingpodcast.com/live. You can watch us record and also chat with our other listeners that are live with us. Our notes and links to all of our past shows can be found at geocachingpodcast.com. You can call our voicemail line, and that number again is 630-31-VOICE anytime, day or night, to leave us a voicemail. Have a safe week and happy caching.